The year is 2025. The world watches Ukraine. The war grinds on, with no end in sight. The conflict has become a grim routine, a daily reminder of the fragility of peace. Russia's advance has stalled, but the fighting is brutal. Cities lie in ruins, their once vibrant streets now desolate and filled with the echoes of war. Millions are displaced, seeking refuge wherever they can find it, their lives turned upside down by the relentless conflict. The world waits for a sign, any sign, of an end. People gather around screens hoping for news of peace but finding only more reports of devastation. The uncertainty weighs heavily on everyone, from the soldiers on the front lines to the families waiting anxiously at home. But one man holds the key, Vladimir Putin. His decisions have shaped the course of this war, and his next move could determine its outcome. Putin remains defiant. Despite the mounting pressure from the international community, he shows no signs of backing down. He speaks of victory, of restoring Russian glory. His rhetoric is filled with promises of triumph and national pride, rallying his supporters and justifying the ongoing conflict. He blames the West, NATO, anyone but himself. His speeches are laced with accusations, painting Russia as the victim of Western aggression. His grip on power seems absolute. Surrounded by loyalists, he appears unshakable, his authority unchallenged. But behind the Kremlin walls, a different story may be unfolding. Whispers of dissent and uncertainty grow louder, hinting at cracks in the facade of his regime. Rumors swirl about Putin's health. Speculation about his well-being has become a topic of intense discussion, both within Russia and abroad. His public appearances are fewer, shorter. Each sighting fuels more speculation, as observers note changes in his demeanor and physical condition. His face appears bloated, his movements stiff. These signs have led to widespread rumors about his health, with some suggesting he is battling a serious illness. Some whisper of cancer, of a man nearing his end. Is it true? The uncertainty adds another layer of complexity to an already volatile situation. And if so, what does it mean for the war, for Russia, for the world? The stakes are higher than ever, and the future remains uncertain. As the war drags on, the world holds its breath, waiting for the next chapter to unfold. Intelligence agencies are abuzz. The corridors of power are filled with hushed conversations and speculative whispers. Analysts and operatives are piecing together fragments of information, trying to form a coherent picture. Reports, some more credible than others, paint a picture of a declining Putin. Observers note his pallor, his bloated appearance, and the fatigue that seems to weigh heavily on him during public appearances. Danish intelligence suggests cancer, perhaps advanced. The specifics are murky, but the implications are clear. If true, this could mark a significant shift in the geopolitical landscape. Ukrainian sources claim he is receiving regular blood transfusions, a sign of something serious. Such treatments are often associated with severe illnesses, adding weight to the rumors. The Kremlin denies everything, of course. Disinformation is their weapon of choice. They dismiss the reports as Western propaganda aimed at destabilizing Russia, but the rumors persist. They feed a growing sense of unease. In the age of information, whispers can travel faster than facts, and the uncertainty only fuels more speculation. A healthy Putin is dangerous enough, a master strategist obsessed with restoring Russia's empire. His ambitions have already led to significant geopolitical tensions and conflicts. But a dying Putin? A man with nothing to lose? That is a terrifying prospect. History has shown that leaders facing their mortality can become unpredictable, their actions driven by desperation. Some believe a cornered Putin might lash out, escalating the conflict to unimaginable levels. The stakes are high and the potential for catastrophic decisions looms large. Others hope his illness might lead to a negotiated settlement, a way out of the abyss. Perhaps in his weakened state, he might seek to secure his legacy through peace, rather than war. The truth, as always, is shrouded in uncertainty. In the fog of rumors and half-truths, the world watches and waits, hoping for clarity in a time of confusion. To understand Putin, one must understand his past. Born in Leningrad, now known as St. Petersburg, he grew up in a city that bore the scars of World War II. The Soviet Union, with its grandiose ambitions and eventual decline, was the backdrop of his formative years. He is a product of the Soviet Union, a nation that once stood as a superpower, challenging the West in a Cold War that spanned decades. A man shaped by its power and its humiliation, he internalized the pride and the pain of a nation that saw itself as a global leader. He witnessed its collapse, the loss of territory, the economic chaos. The 1990s were a time of turmoil, with Russia struggling to find its footing in a new world order. It left an indelible mark on him, a deep-seated desire to restore Russia to its former glory. Putin sees himself as a restorer, a gatherer of lost lands. He views the disintegration of the Soviet Union as a geopolitical catastrophe. He believes Ukraine is rightfully Russian, a part of its historical domain. This belief is not just political but deeply personal, rooted in a sense of historical destiny. He yearns for the days of Soviet might when Russia commanded fear and respect on the global stage. The military parades, the show of strength, all echo a time when the Soviet Union was a force to be reckoned with. This nostalgia, this dangerous longing for a bygone era, is at the heart of his actions. It drives his policies, his international maneuvers, and his domestic strategies. He has surrounded himself with hardliners, men who share his imperial ambitions. These are individuals who, like him, dream of a Russia that is powerful and unyielding. They whisper in his ear, feeding his paranoia and his sense of destiny. They reinforce his belief that Russia is under siege, that it must defend itself against a hostile world. They believe Russia is locked in an existential struggle with the West, a fight for its very survival. This worldview shapes their actions, their policies, and their approach to international relations. A terminally ill Putin is a wild card. Freed from concerns about his own mortality, he might become even more reckless, more willing to take risks. The logic of deterrence, the fear of retaliation might no longer apply. He might see escalation as his only option, a way to secure his legacy and go down in history as the man who restored Russia's greatness. He might gamble on a limited nuclear strike, believing the West would back down rather than risk annihilation. The world holds its breath. The stakes have never been higher. A single miscalculation, a moment of desperation, could have catastrophic consequences. Section 5. The throne lies empty. But what if Putin dies before the war ends? What happens then? Russia has no clear line of succession, no mechanism for a smooth transfer of power. The Kremlin would become a viper's nest of intrigue and ambition. The Siloviki, the powerful men of the security services, would likely seize control. They are the true power behind the throne, the guardians of the regime. But they are also rivals, each with their own agenda and their own network of loyalists. A power struggle would be inevitable, a ruthless battle for control of the world's largest nuclear arsenal. The world would watch in horror, praying that sanity prevails. Section 6. In the Court of the Tsar. Several figures loom large in this potential struggle. There is Dmitry Medvedev, the former president, a chameleon who shifts with the political winds. He is seen as a pragmatist but also a hardliner capable of ruthlessness. Nikolai Patrushev, the hawkish secretary of the Security Council, is another contender. He is a true believer in Russian exceptionalism, a man who sees the West as an existential threat. His rise to power would be a chilling development. Then there is Sergei Shoigu, the long-serving defense minister. He is a loyalist but also a pragmatist who understands the limits of Russian power. He might be the best hope for stability, but also a man with blood on his hands. Section 7. The Shadow of Succession. The wild card is Ramzan Kadyrov, the brutal leader of Chechnya. He commands a private army of loyal fighters and harbors his own ambitions for power. His loyalty to Putin is absolute, but his loyalty to Russia is another matter. And then there is Yevgeny Prigozhin, the shadowy head of the Wagner Group, a private military company accused of war crimes in Ukraine and beyond. He is a loose cannon, a man who thrives on chaos and violence. His rise to power would be a nightmare scenario. The world watches and waits, hoping for the best but fearing the worst. The future of Russia and perhaps the world hangs in the balance. Section 8. The Brink. The danger is clear. A desperate Putin or his equally ruthless successor might escalate the conflict in Ukraine, drawing NATO into a wider war. The risk of miscalculation, of a stumble into nuclear Armageddon, is terrifyingly real. The world must be prepared for all eventualities. Diplomacy must be pursued with even greater urgency, seeking to de-escalate the conflict and find a way out of the abyss. But at the same time, NATO must strengthen its defenses, making it clear that any attack on its members will be met with swift and decisive force. The stakes are too high for anything less. Section 9. A World on Fire. The war in Ukraine is a tragedy for all involved, It is a stark reminder of the fragility of peace, the ever-present danger of conflict, but it is also a wake-up call, a reminder that the world must stand together against aggression and tyranny. We cannot afford to be complacent. We must be vigilant, resolute, and united in our determination to defend freedom and democracy. The future of our world may depend on it.